I want to show y'all what I got going here. I needed a manometer or some way to balance my Honda carburetors on my outboard motor, my dad's motor. Some of you are familiar with it. And the carburetors, they got to be balanced and synced together before the thing ever idles right. I've been doing a lot of research, and I decided to try this homemade manometer thing. So what I did was I went down and I stole 3 of my wife's canning jars, mason jars. These aren't quite a quart. These are, I think, a pint or something like that. Whatever. Anyway, they work great. I went down to the depot and I bought some 5/16 tubing like this. And to the AutoZone, I bought a 5/16 vacuum line. These are vacuum line fittings. Here and here on each one of these. I'll explain what these are for. The biggest thing I can tell you about this thing is this line right here. All 3 of these tubes right here have got to go all the way to the bottom of the jar. Scraping the bottom of the jar. What I did, I cut a knife edge on the bottom of each there, and I pushed them through, and they're sitting at the bottom of the jar. I drilled the hole a little bit smaller. I got a good tight fit around these tubes. It's vacuum proof, so I went out all the way down to the bottom, and you have to link all 3 of these together. Again, they go all the way to the bottom. Then what I did is I drilled a hole on the other side, and I put 3 of these tubes on. These only go down about 1.5 inches into each jar. I put just a vacuum line fitting at the end of them, and only the reason that's for is so I can easily join a tube to this one and go out to the outboard motor, so I don't have to have all them long tubes hanging out, you know. A simple 2x4 to hold it. This is carpet tape here, which makes these jars pretty sturdy on here. And again, this thing is like a one-time use. I think I got like $5 in it. But I'm going to give it a shot. You know, I think it's a great way to do it. The red stuff in here is transmission fluid. And I use transmission fluid. Number one, my eyesight isn't the greatest. So I needed something I could see and something that was very viscous, and it's an oil. And it'll travel through these tubes nicely. And the idea of the manometer is when you hook these tubes up, well, let me back up just a second. See this thing right here? I bought this off of eBay. And this it's a tube, it's hollow. And these are vacuum tubes. They hook to the manifold of my Honda outboard. And then basically what's going to happen is that these tubes will hook onto here, and that's going to measure vacuum pressure. And the way the carburetors, if there's 3 of them, or whether it's 6 of them or 4 of them, whatever, they have to be balanced, meaning at idle all the carburetors have got to be drawing the same amount of air to make the motor idle out correctly, and it's really critical on a Honda. So I made this manometer, and what's supposed to happen is that when the motor's at idle, the fluid levels are supposed to, and when it's at idle and it's balanced, I should say, the fluid levels should stay the same. They shouldn't be going up or shouldn't be going down. They will vary a little bit until you do get it dialed in, but once you're there, you may have, they don't have to be level, they just have to be the same. They've got to not be raising and not be lowering. Once you got it dialed in, this one should be steady, and this one should be steady, and this one should be steady, regardless of where it is in the jar. Because when you first crank it up, this one might be sinking, and this one might be rising, and so forth. But once you get them all balanced out, they should be steady, and that's what you're after. And so I'm kind of looking forward to this, to see how this is going to work on my little Honda. I can see how it would work, and I've been doing a lot of reading about it, And like I said, for $5 or whatever I got tied up in this thing, I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. Like I said, I tend to overthink things. You know, if you have 2 carburetors, then all you'd have to do is one run tube to the other. I would imagine if you have 4 or 6 carburetors, you would just continue to link them on together all the way down this way. You know, you could do the same thing with 6 carburetors. You could do the same thing with 4 carburetors. Some of you V4 guys, and I've got one. I've got a Johnson 90 V4. I could do the same thing here and just add a port to it. So anyway, that's where I am with that, and I'm looking forward to trying this. It's nasty outside today. It's windy and it's going to rain, and I may just go down and get that boat, bring it home, and hook it up and do it today. But I wanted to give you a shot at my manometer. There's a lot of them on YouTube, and you're going to see different variations of this. But I kind of like the way this one's done. And now whether it works again, it should. But watch what happens when I blow on this tube. Watch this. See how the fluid comes up? That's because of the negative pressure, and it's forcing fluid up, and it'll go down into here and into here. There's no chance of ever getting any type of fluid in this with this particular design. There's no chance of getting any type of fluid into your engine. That's why I like the jar method, I think, over the tube method. There's no chance of fluid getting back into the motor. Not that transmission fluid would kill it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with it. So I appreciate you watching this. If you have any questions, put a note on there. It's pretty, like I said, it's not rocket science. It's pretty cut and dry, but I'm looking forward to seeing if this thing actually works. Okay? Thanks for watching.